Folks, today is a special time because it's time to get petty. Get petty with me. It's time to get petty. Get petty with me. Get petty with me. Petty. First story, folks, is leave my leaves alone. My neighbor is a typical curmudgeonly old man. You know what? I've never looked up the definition for curmudgeonly. I know it means like grumpy. Is that all it means? Just grumpy? Let's see. Let's be sure.
Curmudgeonly.
Especially of an old person, bad-tempered and negative. Yeah, grumpily. He loathes the fact that I do not rake my leaves, yay pollinators. He tells anyone who will listen how much he hates it. Even the mailman said, wow, that guy does not like you. My leaves do not touch his yard at all. Oh, he's like your next door neighbor. He's not across the street. He's right next to you. We are separated by a chain link fence. The wind can't even blow them into his space. They have zero effect on his life. Yesterday, when I got home, all of my leaves that could be seen from his window had been raked into a pile around the corner of my house. Another neighbor said she saw him in my yard raking them up. Me, being quite curmudgeonly myself, waited until after dark, snuck out, and put all my leaves back where they belong. This morning, the old guy walked outside for his morning smoke, stopped, stared, and started cussing. It was glorious. I mean, yeah, you just kind of undid yard work. I mean, you did, you put things back to normal, I guess, but it's like, is that revenge or is it just you undoing what he did? Is that really revenge? I mean, this has 18,000 upvotes, so now I don't know what pollinators mean in this context of not raking leaves. Let's see what that's about. It says here, do we really need to remove every leaf from our gardens or our lawns? From the pollinator perspective, the answer is no. A neat and tidy garden is what it looks like, barren and devoid of shelter for bumblebees, mason bees, and so many other pollinators. Okay, so it's just like, hey, man, just leave the leaves. That provides a lot of shelter for these guys. Fascinating stuff. I did not know that, and I'm glad I looked into that because now I know. Top comment here says, I would be fuming if someone cleared my leaves as the hedgehogs who live in my garden collect them for their nests. Oh my gosh, now I have to look up hedgehogs. Look at this! Can you imagine having these in your garden? It's like a Pokemon, dude. That's so cute, dude. That you got little hedgehogs roaming around your garden. And fireflies need leaf litter for their eggs. Oh, that's why fireflies are so common in like the Northeast, because there's so many leaves falling to the ground all the time. And why I don't see them in Florida too much. People wonder why they barely see any fireflies during the summer anymore. It's because homes are large patches of one type of plant. The same is happening with honeybees. I haven't seen a honeybee in a long time. It's heartbreaking. I stopped raking my leaves after finding out from an entomologist friend that there are native bumblebees that nest in leaf litter. Folks! An entomologist, by the way, is somebody who studies insects. I'm learning a lot today, dude. I'm sorry. This comment here says, ask your friends and other neighbors to bring their leaves to your yard, like lots and lots of extra leaves. Better yet, actively in full view of a pissed off old dude, pay people $2 a bag for leaves and then dump them on your pile. Then encourage loud little kids to jump in the leaves. Well, then doesn't that disrupt the habitat? Doesn't it? Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It says, LOL, a whole yard filled to the top of the chain link fence with leaves like an autumn ball pit. A guy that lives across the street from my ex does exactly that. His entire yard, for years now, has been stacked 4 feet tall with leaves. Apparently he goes out there and stirs the pile routinely and sells the ripe stuff for compost. Yeah, composting is a big deal. People like composting, especially in New England. Composting is a big deal out there. I should get into that. I have a compost bin. I just don't know what I'm supposed to put in there. I guess like coffee grounds and like banana peels and like all the peels and stuff and like food waste, I'll look into that. I'll look into composting now because I have a bin for that. But then don't you use compost? Sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. Hey now, old dude here, and I leave my leaves on the lawn. I mulch them with my mower and let them be. Let's not be ageist. My 35-year-old neighbor freaks out that my leaves are on his lawn. It's not an age thing, just an a-hole thing. I'm an old woman and I agree. I live in a rural area in the actual woods and let leaves lie where they fall, as is. My neighbors are cows, though. They don't really care. Hey, folks, caring about each other, caring about the environment, that does not have an age limit. I will say, nowadays, even I sometimes get there where you generalize people to be a certain type of person. Like older people are more likely to think this way and younger people are more likely to think that way. And it's like, it's kind of a waste of time because like the human experience is getting old if you're lucky. Always. Everybody who is old had similar thoughts and feelings that you did, and times either keep you the same and resilient in that sameness, or they change you. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. Gave my friend's boyfriend her phone number when he hit on me at a club. That is pretty good. Years before everyone had a cell phone, I was at a club. Okay, that was my first question. All right. I noticed my friend's boyfriend from numerous photos. I knew he cheated on her. She caught him once and she forgave him. I can't stand this guy, even though I had never met him in person until now. So he notices me and he starts flirting with me. I gave him a fake name and pretended to flirt back a little bit. He ultimately asked me for my phone number. I took a napkin, that's how we did it in the old days, and wrote my fake name and his real girlfriend's phone number on a napkin. Okay, so it's not like he's typing it in his cell phone and it automatically goes, hey, this is Jessica's phone number. No, this is like straight up debauchery, which is wonderful. This is so good. It's so good. I guess he was tipsy because he didn't recognize the phone number. Later that night, he called and asked for Jill, not my friend's name. She shared the story with me and I didn't fess up in the moment. She broke up with him soon after that. A few months later, she met the most amazing man who she ended up marrying. I broke the news to her then. She was grateful and actually thought it was hilarious. Why didn't you? You could have just done it then. I mean, right in the moment. But I mean, I don't know. Edit to those doubting we did not have cell phones back then. A few select people did. They were bigger than shoe boxes. I think that's what that means, or unless a show box is a thing. And I don't think they stored phone numbers. We also did have photographs. What? He was extremely handsome and tall. Thinking back, I was 90% sure it was him when I spotted him. When he introduced himself and the name matched, then I was certain it was him. Got it, okay. Never did I imagine him calling. I thought he would recognize the number and know he'd been caught. He was a womanizer and drunk, or at least a bit tipsy, hence not recognizing the number. Thank goodness he called, otherwise he might have been on good behavior for a couple of months and she might have missed out on the love of her life. Hey, she's married now, so hey. You did the right thing. Good for you. Let's see here. You were the Jill their relationship died on. That's pretty darn good. This is going in the friend chat now, LOL. Wow, no notes on this one. This is really good petty revenge. I mean, is it even revenge? This is just kind of justice at this point, right? Yeah, dude. I mean, ultimately, this is a great move. I could eat this up. There's a little appetizer, a little caviar. I've never had caviar. Still have never had caviar. Have you tried it yet? Isn't it fish eggs? Like eggs from a fish? Do they season caviar when they put it in a can, or do they just kind of like let it go into a can? Is there any prep at all? Or you watching this right now, can you answer my question, please? I know I can Google it literally right now, but what if I don't want to? Get petty. He definitely made the wrong call. Whoa, these puns today! LOL, that's so funny. You're a real ass friend. I had a couple of ass friends in high school. The saddest part of this whole thing is that some people doubted you, that there was a time before everyone had a cell phone. This is actually terrifying that they can't wrap their heads around it. I think that's a joke. I think some people maybe made jokes in the comments that can't be a real thing. In a way, I understand because we all remembered the numbers of those closest to us. I still remember the phone number of my best childhood friend when I was in middle school. Oh, I still remember it. Bleep that out. Tony was his name. Bleep that out too. I thought he would recognize the number and immediately freak the F out. That's how I thought the story would end. I was so shocked when she called me telling me he called her. They were dating several months, not years. Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, you took out the trash early, a day before garbage day. Good for you. My guess is he had other girlfriends and maybe he was drunk. Yeah, dude, I bet back then, before like Find My Friends and before cell phones were a big thing and before social media, oh my God, dude, I bet cheating was like so rampant. I would venture to guess cheating is a lot more rare nowadays than it was before cell phones. Like a third of it, probably. That's my guess. But I don't know. That's how we did it in the old days. Oh, the number of times I wrote my number down on napkins, coasters, people's hands. I also had a club name and would often pull out the I have a boyfriend line for those dudes who couldn't take a hint. There was a local number that the girls in my circle passed around that was an answer phone service that basically said the girl who gave this number didn't want to talk to you. Congrats. I remember this. I remember that phone number, dude. That was a thing again in middle school. That was a fun thing that we would call. It was like a loser hotline or something. I'm trying to remember what it was. If somebody gave you this phone number and you're calling it, it's because blah 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 blah. I remember that, dude. Let's see if anybody has it here. Rejectionhotline.com. Let's see. 605-477-3018. Let's see.
Hello, this is not the person you were trying to call. You've reached the rejection hotline provided by rejectionhotline.com. Unfortunately, the person who gave you this rejection hotline number did not want you to have their real number. We know this sucks, but don't be too devastated. So why were you given a rejection hotline number? Maybe you're just not this person's type. Note, this could mean boring, dumb, annoying, arrogant, or just a general weirdo.
That is terrific. Cool. All right. Moving on. This is a great story. Great revenge. 10 out of 10. Love it. Let's get petty. I took an hour commute to get my coworker in trouble. That is a lot. I I live about 20 minutes away from my workplace by car, and I drive every day. It's a lot more convenient for me than the hour-long public transport route that involves multiple transfers going into traffic, and my shifts aren't regular, changing between midnight and 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. What? How are you not going insane? That's such a big difference, dude. My senior coworker also drives to work, and his shifts are only at 8 a.m. We had an upcoming supplier visit that was about another hour's drive from our office. I was already annoyed with my senior because despite all of it being his responsibility, he left me with all the tasks of coordinating the visit. All that was left was the question of who's driving? Not quite sure I understand this. The month leading up to the visit, my senior kept making leading comments about how he didn't want to drive or asking me if I had gone to that area before. I didn't want to add chauffeur to my responsibilities, so I kept rebuffing him. One day I overheard him talking to my manager about how we still didn't really have a plan and he would figure something out. I waited like 3 days for that something to get to me, but all I got were more of the same. So a week before the visit, I started leaving my car at home and commuted every day. I woke up an hour early and all that. I didn't mind the extra hour because I was fueled by spite, and it was an opportunity for me to catch up on my podcast. Sometimes that is nice. A long drive is really nice to listen to. God, what is it? The Bald and the Beautiful? Trixie Mattel and Katya. What else is there? Smartless is pretty good. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. Anyway, moving on. 3 days of this, my manager noticed and I fed him this fake story about how my brother was in town and I lent him my car so he could see the sights with his girlfriend. This is a very specific story. You might get found out, dude. I also drafted an email that I sent to my manager and my senior asking the suppliers for ways to get to them because our transport plans fell through. My manager was livid with my senior, asking him if this was his idea of figuring something out. He also berated him for being irresponsible and leaving much of the work to his junior, calling it shameful behavior. My senior begrudgingly drove us to and from the supplier's place. Oh, and my brother went home the day of our visit, so I rolled up to the office the next morning in my car. This is a risky move. When you say your senior coworker, you don't mean supervisor position. You just mean a guy who's a little older and works with you? Is that what you mean? I'm trying to understand. So you were what the was it? One visit? You didn't want to drive for an hour one time? So you spent a week before the visit waking up an hour early and taking public transportation. Well, that's 5 extra hours of your life to prevent driving 1 hour one time? I'm so confused about this. And you lied and you wouldn't drive? Or is it because you didn't want your senior coworker to have the say in everything? Or was it that you were doing all the tasks? You were doing all the tasks that your senior coworker, it was his responsibility, and so you didn't want to make his life any easier. You didn't want to, take the weight on when it's his responsibility, and so you made it really difficult for you to have to be the one to drive. You wanted him to do something. For once. Is that where this is coming from? This is such an unusual circumstance to me that I'm really trying to wrap my head around it, and I don't know if I can. So I'm going to read the comments here in a minute to see what this is about, but let's keep going. I'm sure you guys are shaking your heads like, what the hell, Daniel? It's so easy to understand. Not for me. I'm not picking it up. Anything to add? I can't believe this post will be my legacy. Damn. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully you got something else going on. Thanks for the award. Also, to clarify, company car is available, but you need to have certifications on your legal ID, which will take up to a year to get. You have to get a professional license, which neither of us have. So it's been common practice to drive your own car and get the expenses reimbursed after. I feel the need to clarify also, I'm a woman who works in the male-dominated industry that's not in America, where I'm the only one of 2 who has a different degree from the others. I hope that explains why me just being outright straight with them puts me at a severe disadvantage in the long run. And yeah, it's a toxic workplace, but I'm in a country and an industry where this is truly par for the course. Thanks for the unwanted advice, though. Top comment here says, the pettiness is strong in this one. Good work. Dude orchestrated a whole setup just to prove a point. Respect the commitment, honestly. Sometimes petty is exactly what's needed when people won't step up. You put in the extra effort, you got the perfect result. Applauding. At one of my previous companies, the senior-most person was always responsible for transportation regardless of mode. That was because corporate was smart enough to know that if something bad happened and a junior was responsible, there would be a lot more legal complications. This was the case for us too. My senior was really just a job passing ass. This is so corporate speak to me. I'm so far removed. What am I missing, guys? I'm trying to understand. Sounds like the manager might already have had a good idea of the senior's work ethic. Okay, so I need to read this one. I have to read this. I just have to lock in on this one more time because I'm clearly missing something. So he was shirking his work. he was not doing the job, and he lied to his manager saying that, we'll get it done. And you were thinking this guy's about to put even more on me. He was about to ask me to go do this thing when it should be him. And so what you did was you made it to where the work had to be his responsibility. And he waited too long, and then his manager yelled at him. I think I understand it now. Still, I'm like, this is so petty that I don't even understand how this is a thing. But I guess if you work in corporate long enough, it's these little things that build up over time that can drive a person crazy. And it sounds like your senior coworker who has a more regulated sleep schedule than you do and who doesn't work as hard as you do got their justice. And hey, good for you. And for any of those of you out there who are who like this story, that's good. I still don't fully understand it, but that's okay. I'm sure once YouTube crashes and burns and I work at a, telecommunications company, I'm sure I will completely understand this. Wow, the next story has 39,000 upvotes. Let's read it. It says, guy kept cutting in line at the coffee shop, so I made his morning routine miserable. There's a coffee shop I go to every morning before work. Small place, usually has a line of 5 to 6 people. There's this one guy who would show up, see the line, and then pretend to just remember he needed to ask the barista a question. He'd walk up to the counter, ask something stupid like what size the medium is, and then conveniently just order while he was already up there. What? Why would he do that? Oh, hey, what size is the medium? Okay, 60 ounces? Okay. Yeah, I'll get a medium. We had a guy in the ice cream shop that used to come in literally every single night, like 5 minutes before closing, and he would ask to sample every single flavor, like 10 to 12 flavors, and he would slowly try one, and then he would go, let me try that other one again, and we'd be like, no, you have to go. You gotta go, dude. We're already 2 minutes past closing. You have to go. And like sometimes we would have already closed and locked the door, and he would knock on the glass door trying to come in, and we would be like, no, we're closed. And he'd be like, come on, like I see the ice creams are still out. It's like, no. He was an odd man. He's like in his 50s. So I understand this one a lot more than I do the last one. He'd walk up to the counter, ask something stupid like what size the medium is, and then conveniently just order while he was already up there. He did this at least 4 times that I witnessed. Nobody ever called him out because, confrontation before coffee isn't worth it. So I started playing the same game. Whenever I'd see him walk in and start heading toward the counter with his I have a question routine, I'd quickly step out of line and beat him to it. Oh, wait. Oh my God. I see. This was how he cut the line. So he would cut the line by asking the barista a quick question and then he would order. Oh, that would piss me all the way off. Oh my God, that would piss me off. Sorry, I misunderstood. Damn, my reading comprehension sucks. So I started playing the same game. Whenever I'd see him walk in and start heading toward the counter with his I have a question routine, I'd quickly step out of the line and beat him to it. Then I'd ask the most annoying, time-consuming questions possible. What's the difference between a latte and a cappuccino again? Do you have oat milk? What about almond? Soy? Which one froths better? Can you explain your whole pastry selection? And then I'd say, oh, actually, let me get back in line and think about it and go back to my spot. He'd be stuck standing there looking like an idiot. After about a week of this, he started just waiting in line like a normal person. Problem solved. Haven't seen him try to cut since. This is really good. I'd be weary. I'd be cautious about how the other people in line saw that and be like, hey, 2 people are cutting. Like if I were a dude in that line and I saw one person try to cut and then another person try to jump out of line to cut, I'd feel crazy, but I mean, them getting back in line is helpful. But that is a whole song, an extra minute-long song and dance that doesn't have to happen, but I guess you prevented the issue, so good for you. This is really well played. Well done. Yeah, top comment here, Tickling the Taco, which is, I'm sure about tacos, says, well played indeed. Op replied, haha, thanks. The key was matching his energy. Once he realized someone was willing to be just as petty, the whole act fell apart pretty quick. I also love the point you made by returning to your place in line. Well played. Can I tell you something? Having worked at coffee shop for years, you as the cashier, as the barista, you standing there with the little, POS system, the point of service or point of sale, you as the person standing there, you know where the line is. You have like a mental awareness of the line. You know where that is. You know who's next. It's just like always loaded in your sidebar. It's always loaded there. And so the person knows that this guy is coming in to cut and ask these questions in order. I guess if there's a different cashier every time, he can kind of get away with it. But, it's only, that's kind of a shame on the cashier a little bit, right? I mean, because they should be able to see there's a line of 5 people. This other guy comes in, maybe they think he's an Uber Eats order or something. No, you got to go in line, dude. It's got to take one person to do that for him to understand. That's on the employee. It sucks that you had to do that, but for sure we noticed that. Baristas, cashiers, we noticed that stuff. This commenter says, I also loved the point you made by returning to your place in line. Well played. This reply says, a tiny amount of confrontation usually is enough. Once I was standing in line at a tourist attraction in Berlin. The line was made up of people clearly not from there. So there were a lot of cultural differences there. A couple cut in and started taking pictures, so I just started booing loudly. Apparently, the people in line were super tired of cheats because even the shy-looking Asian girls in front of us started booing until the couple left. Petty works, but booing is forever. Also, it's fun. I've shamed a few queue jumpers with a loud "Oi!" followed by a thumbs down and a head shake, accompanied by a not angry, just disappointed expression. Let's try it. Oi! Something about the thumbs down coupled with a head shake and look of disappointment really gets through to them, but I might have to try booing instead. That appeals to my level of pettiness. Yeah, booing. Hey, boo! Boo! You're cutting in line. Boo! Cutting in line. Boo! Yeah, people who cut in line, oh my God. You know how when you go somewhere and there's a line, and your friend is already there in line before you. And they're like, come on, cut. You can cut. You're with me. And you weren't expecting to meet them there. I would go, no, I need to be in the back of the line. I'm so cautious about that. I don't ever want to be that guy. I really don't. If it's a ticketed event where we're sitting down and the seats are already, figured out, I'll join you. But if it's like a restaurant or like, I don't know. I feel weird about cutting. I hate it. And then this person is saying, what I'm thinking, I'm glad you were able to petty revenge them, but seems like it's on the staff to enforce waiting in line for the respect of all patrons. Yeah. And then the reply here says, yeah, I agree, but most baristas aren't trying to deal with confrontation over a $5 coffee either. That's not true. This is not true at all. Having worked with baristas, they're ready to yell at anybody. And there's a weird kind of topsy-turvy thing where the more rich you are, if we see, I know this is awful and it's funny now. It's just whatever. But there's a mental thing of the more self-important you think you are, the more ready we are to take you down a notch. It's just there. If you show up and you wear a Rolex and you cut in line and you're all business suit and we see a bit of arrogance about you, we're so ready to be like, no, you need to get back in line. No, sorry, rules don't, the rules apply to everybody, man. That's your sense of power. That's such a real, this is the most false statement here ever. They're just trying to get through their shift without drama. Easier to let someone slide than start an argument at 7 a.m. when there's already a line of cranky people waiting for their caffeine. I think you're lying. I don't think this is true. This is not true. Barista here, I just quickly answer the question and say, I'm going to take these orders ahead of you and I'll be happy to ring you up in just a sec. It's not hard. It's not confrontational. Your baristas just don't care. LOL. Guys, it's a coffee shop. You can just point and tell someone where the line starts. This is it. That's it. Sir, sorry, the line starts back there. If you've worked there for more than a month, you can push people to the back of the line. You're used to it. You've got a routine. You take 100 orders a day or something, It's like, yeah, the line starts back there. No, we don't have a vegan option. The bathroom's over there. Here's the key. Blah, blah, blah. Tip jar's there. Whatever. You have routine. You have little routines. And so if somebody comes in there trying to mess up your routine by cutting in line, I think this is bull. I do not think a barista would let somebody do that. The barista is there to serve coffee, and I'd think that few are paid enough to have to deal with the wrath of an entitled jerk. If there's a line of already cranky people, I'd be worried about them turning against the staff by allowing someone to cut in front of them. One angry person versus however many in the line, that kind of deal. Yeah, all the barista really needs to do is tell the guy there's a line or answer his question real quick, and then tell him there's a line, switch eye contact with the next person in line, and say next. Yeah, this is the move. Yeah, I'll help you in a second. You gotta get back to the line. Next, please. No, that's all it is. No, sir. No, just stand over here, please. Or the line starts there. Thank you. Next. Can I help the next person? This person, however, okay, so this is a really interesting contrast here, is saying, oh, sorry, sir, there's a queue right there. Really considered a confrontation these days. This person says, yup, happens daily. Customers are assholes and questioning them gets you screamed at. They can fight it out on the other side of the counter. I ain't gonna say Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, good on you. If this is real, good on you for putting them back in their place. But I cannot imagine a barista not just immediately correcting somebody. I think it's not like we're waiting for that day, but there's a lot of really confrontational baristas out there, dude, who are just trying to, there's a sense of justice in coffee shops, where you protect your coworkers and you that's a thing. They have in my experience, they have no problem correcting you. I don't know where you're based. If it's a small town or something, I don't know. Hopefully you found some of that revenge a little bit petty.
Get petty with me.
Outro.
Get petty with me.
Oh yeah!
Get petty with me.
Oh